listen to my audiobook, I'm going to work on this paint your own tic-tac-toe kit. She could mug me, but are your snowflakes on your head? Yeah, she's about to come in. She's part cat-cow, so like I don't think it's really bothering her. So obviously, it's not below freezing yet. But she, I don't think, has ever seen snow, at least not when I owned her. But when she was a puppy, before I had her, there was a chance that she saw snow. I don't know how well it's going to pick up on camera. Sorry, I have my hands on my face because it's cold. Yeah, snow is going right in my face. So it is snowing out here. See, I can see some of the snowflakes on there. Some of my pants. But yeah, I got Delilah in. She didn't seem to mind. She prefers cold heat, but you know, didn't want her out in this. Your first snow. Welcome to a new vlog. I didn't have the ring light on. It is the sci-fi vlog, so we're going to be focusing on reading science fiction, even though I know last week was science fiction as well because we were doing my book club book. But this week's quote is "Believing takes practice" by Madeline L'Engle. I don't know how to say that. I don't know who that is, but the yellow is such a happy color. We love that. But I do want to go through the weekly TBR here. So we have my planner. I have not read it all today. My schedule is all different, and y'all know I don't like when my schedule changes, but I cannot control everybody in the world. We have Memory Wall by Anthony Dower. This is a short story collection, speculative fiction, and the one that I am currently reading is about a girl who both parents died of cancer relatively close together, within a few months of each other. And she is a young teenager and is sent to Lithuania to live with her grandfather and is adjusting to life there. And this is all just stories of memories. When I do my review, I'm going to talk more about that. But this is what I read in the morning and what I might or might not be getting to today because I forgot TikTok's alive still. I have to film a TikTok. Then we have the book that is the main focus of the vlog, and that is Fever by Dion Meyer, and translated by K.L. Seegers and it's translated from the Afrikaans, I guess is how you say that. But let me tell you what this is about. So Nico Storm and his father Willem drive a truck filled with essential supplies through a desolate land. A devastating virus has swept over the planet, and they are among its few survivors. Nico, although he is still only a boy, is gifted with superb marksmanship and a cool head, while Willem is a thinker and leader with a vision for a new community of survivors that will rebuild from the ruins. And so Amansi is founded, drawing Storm's homeless and tempest-tossed, including Sophia Bergman, the most beautiful girl Nico has ever seen. Okay, I'm at 20%. I have not been introduced to that character. Okay, as the community grows, so do the challenges they face, not just from the attacks of biker brigands, and also from within. In this new world, Nico undergoes an extraordinary rite of passage, testing his loyalty to the limits until he faces the greatest rupture of all, the murder of the person he loves most. Propulsively readable, Fever is a gripping epic of humanity striving for a noble vision against its basest impulses. And I am 20% of the way, and I am doing the audiobook because it was free with my subscription. Next, we have my mood read, and that is Nightingale Point by Lune Goldie. This is taking place in London in 1996. We have 4 characters. Is it 4 or is it 5? 5 characters, my bad. And so it's a day like any other until something extraordinary happens. When the sun sets, Nightingale Point and its residents are irrevocably changed, and somehow through the darkness they must find a way back to lightness and back to each other. Elvis is my favorite character in here. He has some kind of disability, I would say autism, and I've never really read from an autistic narrator before, and I am liking that, just seeing how his mind works. And lastly, we do have my ebook, which I am at like 94%. I am close to finishing, and that is Written in My Own Heart's Blood by Diana Gabaldon. This is a big epic book with historic, science fiction, romance, all kinds of themes here. And this is following one family during the American Revolution with some time travel elements involved. And that's everything I'm reading. I'm going to have to do a TikTok right now and then get into reading fever. Okay, I hope y'all can see me because I had the ring light in front of the camera, and because I had it there because I was showing, you know, a TikTok earlier, and I don't know, whoa, why is it strobing like that? So I don't know if that's a good spot or not, but I want to go through my notes of fever. I read 80 pages, getting me to a little over a third of the book. I don't have that many notes. This is given 3-star vibes. It's good, but it's not great, and we're gonna go into my thoughts on, you know, the why I feel that way. Let's go to our first tab here. And I'm not really using a system with the color of my tabs anymore since I have these like multi-color pens. I don't know how well y'all can see that, where it's just multiple shades of ink or whatever. I have paint on my hands because I was painting, but I just think this is easier because sometimes I will run out of tabs and then we'll just have to dog ear. So the ink, like, it's still like blue character, green writing, that kind of thing. And then tabs are just, you know, random tabs. And let's go to the tabs, you know. So our first one, it looks like it's this writing tab. Yeah, so Birdie is one of the characters. She's like a physicist, I would say, is what she was at university when the fever broke out and her whole family died, all her friends died, and they have this mission to get a diesel airplane. I didn't know what kind of fuel planes are on, but they've been using one, and just for the kind of gas that was using, it's becoming increasingly harder to find, so they want to find a diesel plane, and they know there's like 2 diesel planes in all of South Africa. This is taking place in South Africa, I don't know if I said, and they need somebody lightweight to go because they need a marksman with them because, you know, you never know who you're going to come across on the road. So Birdie was like, well, I'm little and all of this, and then and I'm over 18, and Willem, who's the leader, was like, no, Birdie, said my father before he could stop himself, you're too valuable. She got up from her chair and feeling her jaw, and she said, so Willem, some animals are more equal than others. And I felt the same thing. And one of the reasons that I'm not really liking this, or not disliking it, but you know, one, I'm bored. This is bringing nothing new to the table for plague novels, sci-fi. Nothing is new here. It's just trying to build civilization after an event like this happening, and it's like, yeah, I've read this before, but I feel like there's a lot of telling and not showing. But this whole book is a fictional memoir. If you open the book up, the first page, our title page here, says the memoirs of Nicholas Storm concerning the investigation of his father's murder. And I have to remember that this is somebody's memoir, even, you know, it's fictional, but I feel like that it's just a lot of telling and not actually showing us these things happening. And then on the next scene, because Nicholas, he really wants to go on that mission, the airplane fuel mission, but his dad's like, you're only 14, even if you are like such a great marksman, I don't want you going on this trip. His dad is like the leader of this village. I don't know what the official title is, but he's, you know, basically the mayor. And so Domingo is telling him that he has a good father and that Domingo didn't grow up with a good father, but Nicholas has one. And he says, be quiet, you're still a child. I scheme you want to play the big man really badly. We've all been there. But your pa knows, and I know, that being a child, that innocence, once it's gone, you never get that genie back in the bottle. That's what your pa wants to do. Keep the genie there as long as you can. And I love the dad in this. I see a lot of myself in the dad, if I'm being honest with y'all. And he's a very, like, academic man. And I think there's so many books that deal with language. And I mean, it makes sense, because that's what makes a book, right, is the words. And going into language of what words mean. And also, I think if you like Babel, like that kind of theme in Babel, and there's other books, but Babel's only the one that comes to mind for me, then you might like this. Let's go to some more tabs. I have 3 more tabs here. And then this one, here's an instance of it. It says, responsibility means in reality that we must eventually provide answers to questions that our loved ones, our neighbors, or our community ask us. And now that I think of it, loved ones, neighbors, and community should be synonyms of each other. And I love that, because that is so true. And I'm like, they're not already, but I guess not. And I think the main theme in this book is really community and what makes community. So maybe if you like Beartown, you might want to pick this up, because it has that common theme of community, as I said, and what goes into a community, and just seeing how a community is made. And lastly, we're talking about humans are animals, and survival instinct, the rules of the jungle. And I just thought this paragraph was great. I don't need you to buy into my philosophy. I don't want you to, Domingo said. I may be totally wrong. Go and find other views. Let the pastor tell you about God, or your father and his thing for that Spinezzo dude. Go and talk to him. Talk to Nero. One of them may be right. Maybe none of us are right. Then you just take the philosophy that works best for you. A lot of people do that. But do yourself one simple favor. Just ask yourself one question. Which philosophy explains everything about the human condition? No loose ends, no awkward unanswered questions. Which one makes complete sense? And I don't think any do, that I sat there and thought about it, that everything in life has questions. And is there really one set way to live life? It'll make you think. Domingo, he's wise, and you wouldn't expect that from him, so I do like Domingo. I don't know who my favorite character would be, though. I think there's a lot of wisdom in these pages, and yeah, I think Dion Meyer has intelligence to him. But that is all for Fever, and one of the tab things fell out. I am going to eat dinner. I'm going to have some chicken noodle soup. I really want the steak I have in there, but I need to eat right now, because I didn't have lunch today. Like, I didn't have my 2 o'clock meal, just again because my schedule was so hectic. Yeah, I need food. So I'm going to go do that, and I had to feed the cats. And I want to just tell y'all, I'm not going to go into the whole story here because it might be a bit much for some people, but something my dad witnessed today. This didn't happen to him, but he check your wheel wells and under your car this time of year, because we're supposed to get snow tomorrow and a few other days this week, because cats or any other kind of animals, they like to get in there because they're just trying to stay warm, and bad things might happen if you don't check. And yeah, so I want to put that out there, that I want you guys to like check around your car, just maybe hit the hood of the car to make sure there's no little critters in there, because we don't want to hurt anybody. Everybody's just trying to stay warm in this cold weather. And yeah, so there's that. I will see y'all later. Hey guys, happy Tuesday. I might have some fluoride on my teeth. I did go to the dentist today, had a great appointment, and yeah, so I did that today, this morning, or technically this afternoon, I guess. But I got to the halfway point in Fever, and I do want to give y'all an update. Not a lot of tabs today, only 4 tabs here. This one, we are finally introduced to the character of Sophia, who is mentioned on the back of the book, and just talking about her life. And after her family died in the fever, and 2 of the workers on her family's farm did survive, and it's like miraculous that a husband and wife would survive, because like what are the odds, since like they're not genetically related, because some people survive because like our main character and his father, because genetics. But she was kind of like talking about romanticizing that life before. We saw nobody else in those 3 years. Nobody. In the beginning, in those early months, after we had buried all our people, we still had satellite TV. At night, we could watch the world collapse into ruins little by little. But the transmission suddenly stopped. One evening when we switched on, there was nothing. We still had the radio for a few weeks. He's climbing all over me right now. And then it was just us. In the graves of our loved ones and our simple lifestyle. Now I have to laugh because one romanticizes so easily. The people of olden times definitely did not have a wind charger or solar panels for power, but nevertheless we had an uncomplicated existence. We were ruled by the sun and moon and the seasons, and yes, that is so romantic. So she was definitely right about romanticizing things. And then this one, another theme that I see in this book is just great insights on humanity and humanity at its core. If you rip away all our aspects of the modern world, like these things and electricity, and just if you rip away the modern lifestyle, you get what humanity is at its core. And this one was like, Willem, said Bertie, they don't want information. They're scared. They want someone to take the fear away. Nikosi's entire strategy is based on fear, and that's so true with you seeing people in power and their followers and trying to understand it. And I think that was great. Again, this was published in 2016. I'm like, how? And then there's just a really good transition with the writing, and okay, those were my tabs, but with the writing here of, we have Sophia, and she's like, I ran towards the N1, which is like basically an interstate, like it's a big highway. And then we go back to, what is his name? Nicholas's perspective. And he's like, I didn't make it. And I love that transition, especially listening to on audio. I think in that chapter, and that was chapter 60, and really all the way to chapter 63, the transitions were really good. So again, I read 82 pages in here. And that's all I am going to read in here for the day. Oh, I got this chicken coloring book on sale in Atlanta back in the summer, and I finished this page today. This was my first page of this rooster here. So I finished that. But I am going to have dinner. I had steak for lunch. I know, like crazy. That was my first like New York strip kind of steak. And I do have like half the steak because the steak was huge. I have half of it left, but I don't really want to eat steak again. So I'm just gonna literally have Chef Boyardee. And I don't know if the power is going to go out or not. I don't know if I said, but you would have seen that there's snow. We have not had snow stick to the ground since 2022, so 3 years now. And I don't know if the power will go out or not. It's in storms in the past. It's only just been hit or miss if it goes out or not. Again, in the South, we don't know about this stuff. I've been seeing snow from like Houston to up in the Outer Banks, and even snow in Florida and New Orleans. And I saw Lafayette, Louisiana has a blizzard warning. I don't know about that kind of thing. I may be wearing a New York shirt, but I am not in the New York groove when it comes to weather. So this is all very intriguing. I cannot wait to see Delilah out in the snow tomorrow. It's time to talk about Nightingale Point. I got to 27%. I do want to show that I have a signed copy by the author, and I got this secondhand actually. I got it on eBay and for a good deal. There is like some like damage to it, but I'm not somebody who cares about that. I just care about the book being readable, and it is. But oh my gosh. Okay, the first 80 pages, which I started the day on page 81, and the first 80 pages I was getting bored. I was like, this is slice of life. We are just going through the actions here. Sorry, my drawer was open, but we're just going through the notions of life of these 5 characters. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the characters. So Mary is an older woman, like middle age, and is having to take care of her 2 younger brothers who are young adults. They live in the apartment next to her. And then Malachi is one of those brothers. He's the oldest one, and he is at university, and he is getting over a broken heart. Then we have Tristan, who is the younger brother. He's like 15, 16 years old. I'm not exactly sure. It has said, but I'm bad with numbers. So he is a teenager, and since Malachi isn't really around as much because he's at university and moping about having a broken heart, Tristan is finding himself involved with the wrong crowd, just with some guys who are up to no good. Then we have Elvis, who is the character I told y'all about, who has some sort of disability, and he is living on his own for the first time. The care home that he was in got shut down, and a lot of the people from the care home got moved to this apartment complex. Then lastly, we have Pamela, who is the girl that Malachi is getting over, but her dad is racist. And yeah, I know Mary, Malachi, and Tristan are all people of color, and so, you know, when Pamela was with Malachi, and that did not make her dad too happy, and Pamela is basically locked away in the apartment. Like, he locks her in the apartment where she can't get out. And those are all of our characters. So yes, definitely super fascinating with the characters and the atmosphere. We are in London, and I think it's 96. Yeah, 1996. And yeah, it's like, I have been wanting something kind of that setting because of Derry Girls, which is also in the mid to late 90s, but in Ireland. Derry. So over there, over yonder. And so very slightly different. The IRA did get mentioned today, but the writing, okay, first I want to say what I like about the writing is the dialogue. It is spot on, at least from what I know of traveling in the UK and watching British TV. The dialogue reads exactly how these people would talk, and I can only appreciate good dialogue. But the formatting, or the flow more so, is where it gets kind of awkward. We are seeing like the same scene from pretty much every single perspective, and I get like, with what just happened, I want to know what everybody is thinking, but a lot of this, like, we have Elvis going to the phone booth, and he runs into Mary, who is on her way to work. And I don't need to see that from both of their perspectives. I think you can mention it later where Mary could be like, oh, I saw this large man when I was on my way to work, and like, have her what she thought of him. But I don't like that. And then when we have flashbacks, it will just go to a flashback, like, you know, it will just go. There won't be any break, but after the flashback is over, there will be a break. And I'm like, no, there needs to be a break when it starts and when it ends, because I'm just like, what? We're going back in time here? It's kind of confusing. And then with the plot, I was telling y'all, I was bored for the first 80 pages, the first like 20% of this book. I'm like, we're just going through the notions here. What is the point? But as I told y'all, it's a day like any other until something extraordinary happens. And that is what just happened, and I am stunned. And I have some theories of what this could be based on. There's one like really big obvious one, and then there's a second one of a documentary that I watched that I think this could be based on, but I don't want to say because it doesn't say anywhere on here what this extraordinary event that happens is, because I was stunned when it happened. Because when I finished last night on page 81, on page 80, it was just like, we have somebody witnessing what is happening, and the way it was worded just was such a big cliffhanger to end on. I was like, oh my gosh, where are we going with this? So yes, everything that is like past, like the flashback scenes, I am kind of skimming through at this point now that we've got to this big event, because this big event, I'm like, I've never read anything like this. This is just something extremely new for me, and it's just going to be really, really interesting to see how it plays out. So this is both of these. Everything I'm reading, like out of these, not my ebook, but all the other books that I'm reading, they're all giving 3-star vibes. It's a spectrum. It could vary where that lands on the 3-star, but this is given 3-star, but it could get good now that we've got to the big event. Just, it is a little slow paced at the start. So that's my update on Nightingale Point, and that is Tuesday. I went to the dentist today. We got some snow today, and hopefully I have no idea what my plans are going to be for tomorrow, because I don't know what's going to be open. I'm assuming Target will be open. We're not buying any books because I can only buy one more book this month, and I have one that I pre-ordered coming. But, you know, buying groceries and that kind of thing. And then I was going to go to B&B tomorrow, and that is like just a local Southern kitchen kind of restaurant, Southern comfort food, which y'all know is that's my favorite food. I don't know if they will be open or not. The last time where we had sleet, they just were only doing takeout, but since the schools are not going to be in school tomorrow, maybe like some of the people who work there have to like watch their kids, so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully everything is being updated on Facebook, and you know that Facebook is usually where businesses do their business. But that is all. I'm going to go brush my teeth, get in the bath, and after that read on my Kindle. I did watch Romulus today. This episode went by really fast, that I watched today, and I've been rewatching Sex Education because James Purefoy from Rome is, I didn't even realize he was the dad on Sex Education. Yeah, so we were already, I got my friend, I was like, you gotta watch this show, it's super funny. And then we watched Rome, and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that my favorite character, I don't know if he's his favorite character as well, is on Sex Education as well, so we should get back to watching Sex Education. So that is what I will be watching tonight. My favorite character was introduced the last episode I watched. I watched Domina last night, and again, the swearing is so awkward. The writing on that show is god awful. Guys, happy Wednesday. I was able to go to Target today, and like, I've never heard the intercom in Target before, but I heard it today. They were like, we're closing in 45 minutes. Obviously, I get my shopping done, and I got it done at that time. And yeah, so I didn't buy any books today. I think I told y'all that I can't buy any more books this month because I do have one coming in the mail. Yeah, in the mail. Who knows if it's gonna get here, because everything is closing again tomorrow because the roads are still gonna be pretty icy, because the low tomorrow is 16 and the high is 30 something. So all this that has melted, all that water is just gonna freeze back over, which is not fun. Ice isn't fun. I did drive around the town. I did include some clips of that, but we are here to talk about fever rather than ice. I read 93 pages in here today. This was the most I've read in a day in this book so far, because I have amped up the audiobook from 2.0 to like 2.25, I think is what I have it at, just to, you know, get through, since this is a safe, fine reading experience and Fred might start meowing. But let's see what I left notes on today. How I told y'all Sophia got introduced to the story yesterday, and we have the first interaction of Nicholas and Sophia, and so this is from his perspective. Then I had a good look at her. I could see she wasn't afraid, just angry. It was a splendid fury, like a force of nature, a source of magnificent, pure injury and energy. That sounds just like him. These characters are very similar, and they have made note of that. But when people are like that, I'm like, y'all aren't going to make a good couple. It's not going to last, but it probably will, because this is a book, and that's how they go, right? Okay, now I have a lot of tabs through here. First one, okay, I have two actually on this page. Another theme I see here is the extremes that humans will go for survival. How could such different worlds exist? How could there be such barbarity and viciousness of the men who had stabbed Oki, and now the murderers? I forgot how you said it. It's like in Harry Potter, that's a big thing, but okay. While there was this oasis that my father had created, were we even the same species? And this I thought was really interesting. It has me thinking. And people united more readily when threatened by another unified force. Let's see here. We have an orange tab, which I think is on the next page. Yeah, Yuval Noah Harari got name dropped, and I wasn't expecting that. It's basically talking about his book. Oh my gosh, what is that book called? Hold on. A Brief History of Humankind. I did see it in the bibliography. Yeah, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, which I really recommend that book. I know a lot of people are not really for that book. A lot of people think it's just really like easy understanding of the subject, but I think it's a great starting place, and then you can venture to other subjects once you read that one. But for life, humanity, it was so eye-opening. And with that being said, with starting this civilization, it reminds me of history when we see history developed, because these people were basically thrown back to the middle ages, medieval times, because there was no electricity and all of that, and there's not as many people anymore, and it's basically like they got thrown back in time and are having to create civilization all over again. And we have a blue tab. Yeah, that was something, because Sophia had contemplated running away a few times, and I'm like, she was kind of taken there against her will, and all these people they pick up in other places, can they leave? It's made no mention of that. Like, I get they're being rescued, but can they leave? I don't know. And it seems we have 2 more tabs here. We know this is the memoirs. It says on the title page here, the memoirs of Nicholas Storm concerning the investigation of his father's murder. I think the pastor did the murder. I'm not going to go more into that. And then we have Sophia, like, she used to have dreams of helicopters, and then when she's in this, like, kind of fight with Nico, who is Nicholas, but Nico, she says, it wasn't Henny Fly's aeroplane. It was an airliner, a big airliner, though small now, a little more than a speck because it was flying so high. It winked brightly in the clear, deep blue sky, a flash of light on metal, gone in the blink of an eye. I couldn't say anything. I had no breath. I couldn't even point my finger because my hands were pinned down. The airliner flew north towards Europe, and then it was gone, and Domingo's shadow fell across me. Like, what is with her and seeing these planes? I'm really curious. And a commercial airliner. Who is flying that at the end of the world? There's going to be some mystery elements, and this is only a 1-book thing. This is a standalone book, and I'm really intrigued to see where all of that goes. But that is everything that I read in Fever today and my thoughts on it. Guys, happy Thursday. I do have some book mail and then a reading update for you guys. Actually, I didn't write in my planner how many pages I read, so I need to do that for Fever today. I read 100 pages. I have about 70 pages left of the book, so I'm not going to be finishing the book in the vlog because I still have over an hour left in the audiobook, and I just do not have time to do that today. I mean, technically I could, but that's the thing that I'm doing this year, is I don't want to bog myself down. I don't want to force myself to read. But I have no idea if tomorrow will be the day, because I don't know how my time's going to be tomorrow. Again, the schedule got all pushed around this week. Snow in the south does that. We will just have to see, but I will go through the updates in here. This was the most I've read in a day, because again, I just wanted to push and try to finish, but it's just not possible. I'd be reading nearly 200 pages, and I don't think that's a good idea. Another thing, how I am like, oh my gosh, at this moment, I'm only going to be able to buy 3 books next month. But I have to remember, the books that I've been reviewing have all been over 500 pages. They have been thick books, and I'm looking at the rest of my TBR over there. I think I can finish maybe 2 more of those, because one is a physical fiction, another sci-fi book, and then a graphic novel. Ooh, maybe I'd go into the graphic novel tomorrow. And then my nonfiction pick, which will be on audio. We'll just have to see where my reading month takes me, but the poll for my book club of what book we will read in February, I'm going to be posting that at midnight. So by the time this vlog is up, that poll will still be open. So if you guys would like to join the Fable book club, the link is down below. Let's get into my thoughts on... There's hair all over this. I know, I guess I need to vacuum in here again, but okay. Let's go through my notes. Again, we are 86% of the way into a book. Some of this I'm not going to be able to tell y'all because of spoilers and that kind of thing. And since this isn't really a well-known book too, I really want to avoid spoilers. And we talked about spies, and I'm like, ooh, interesting. This is a tab I can't tell y'all about. And then this page has 2, and definitely a theme, or I don't know a theme, but a plot point is this is coming of age during, you know, like a post-apocalyptic time. I'm still trying to remember what is the difference in post-apocalyptic and dystopian. I think post-apocalyptic is right after the event, or, you know, during the event that is like killing. I know, because on TikTok you can't say killing, but on YouTube you can say that. So I was like, can I say that? But yeah, so that's bad, censorship, gross. But that I think post-apocalyptic is when the big end of the world event is happening, or like, you know, immediately after. And then dystopian, I think like Hunger Games, Divergent, when it's been a while. But I really have to look up. I know utopian means like the perfect society, and then dystopian is the opposite. But yeah, so that's something I definitely have to research. But I would say this is post-apocalyptic. It doesn't say anywhere. I thought I had read it. But yes, it's coming of age during... Yeah, post means after the apocalypse. So yeah, coming to age after the apocalypse, essentially. And he talks about, and it was good to listen to Pa. He was so interesting to talk to. Before he had all this like built up anger because he's a teenager, they're angsty. We've all been there. But now as he's getting closer to adulthood, he's realizing who his father is, and that his father actually is this really interesting and intriguing person, intelligent person. And I think that's just one of the big themes here is coming of age, but coming to age in post-apocalypse. But I think you can even take that and turn it on its head and think of people growing up in very like messed up situations in America, like Demon Copperhead. We have a boy who is born to a drug addict, single, was she a teenage mother, and having to grow up in rural, impoverished Appalachia. How that is a very like hard situation to grow up in. But this is saying this fever has just taken the world by storm, and having to grow up in that atmosphere. Really interesting to think about. And then this, I don't know if this is true or not. I did look at the bibliography and couldn't really find anything, but I didn't really look hard enough yet. And so the father, Willem, he's been doing like this history project of having people from Amansi, that's the town, tell their stories of the fever, what they missed from before the fever, what their life was like before the fever, and how their life has changed now that the fever has happened. And he says, then I remembered the longest research project in history, one that stretched over 75 years. It began at Harvard in America. They followed the lives of many men from the time they were 18 or 19 years old into their 90s. One of the big findings that came out of this study was that your happiness in life is primarily determined by good, strong, healthy human relationships. And they not only determined your happiness, but also had an effect on how long you lived. I remember this huge sense of irony when I read about the research back then, because there we were, in a world where we couldn't have been more isolated from each other, where it was increasingly difficult to have those healthy relationships in marriage and friendships. Even our friendships were more synthetic and digital. What I want to say is that the one thing I don't miss, because look here, look at the relationships here, and I want to know, was that a real project? Because I would love to see that. They recorded these people's history from the time they were teenagers to their 90s. It's crazy. And then we have a Cicero quote, and it says, I recently read this quotation from Cicero, the Roman statesman. Yeah, this author I think is a big fan of Rome. So, to be ignorant of what occurred before you were born is to remain forever a child. For what is the value of a human life unless it is woven into the life of our ancestors by the records of history? And that is so true. I think of, again, kind of on the Rome subject, of when Latin was offered at my school to take as a foreign language. And a lot of people were like, why would somebody want to take that? And because, you know, it's not it's considered a dead language. I mean, obviously it is used in a lot of things, but, you know, relatively speaking, it's a dead language. And a lot of people don't care about history, and a lot of people don't understand why I read like the big nonfiction history books. This Cicero quote is perfect to say why it's important to do that. We have this tab. Yeah, we had the helicopters again, submarines, missiles. Where is the book going to go with this? Again, at this point, we only had this much of the book left. What is going to happen in this last quarter? And then I was like, so clearly, because we keep having these helicopters mentioned, there's going to be a big attack on Amansi. I'm not going to say if that happens or not, but just in my opinion, since we keep having that. And this is something that I want to think about. There's a dilemma of perspective too. Daily, I realize more and more that we are eternal prisoners of our own unique view. We try to see others equally and fairly. We truly believe we're objective enough to do that.
but in the end, it's largely an illusion. We can only see through our own eyes, even as adults. Objectivity remains elusive. Yeah, I wanted to take that in. I want to think about that more. With the murder, there are some things I was not expecting. Again, murder's not a spoiler. It says it on the title page of the book. And I'm like, this is what I think's happening. Not saying if that's really what happens. And then we have an orange tab here that there was a, my father told me an asteroid 10 kilometers wide struck the Earth 200 million years ago. It formed a 300-kilometer wide crater, the largest on planet Earth that we know of. The crater has long since disappeared, completely due to erosion, but in the middle is a geological structure, a half-moon of hilly terrain that we call the vertifort, my bad if that's wrong, dome near Paris in the Free State. And then only months before the fever, scientists discovered an extensive series of caves in the hills of the dome. And I'm not going to read the next line because I think it's kind of spoilery, but I'm intrigued to know about these caves that were in this crater because, you know, humanity in its many years of existence have had to have, you know, been in that cave. I'm really intrigued by that. So that's everything I read in Fever today. This is what the tabs are looking like, and that's all I'll read from Fever in the vlog. But I did get book mail today, and it's from one of my favorite authors, who was an autobi author for me, and that is The Wild Dogs and the Truth by Marcus Zuzak. At one time, A Bridge of Clay was my favorite book when I was first getting into reading, but that, you know, that's obviously changed. Things have evolved. But this is a nonfiction memoir, and I've never read any of his nonfiction. I don't know if he has nonfiction because there is this list where I thought The Book Thief at one time was his only book, but apparently not. There are like 4 books before that. But let's see what it's about. So in this poignant, funny, and disarmingly honest memoir, one of the world's most beloved storytellers, blah, 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 tells of his family's adoption of 3 troublesome rescue dogs, a charming and courageous love story, and making even the incorrigible, Incorrigible, I've never seen that word, of Animal's family. And, you know, his stories are only so moving. Throwing animals, especially in Bridge of Clay, animals play a huge part of the story. So I can definitely tell Marcus Zuzak is an animal lover. Oh, I just realized this is my first one I have by him that's not signed. I should have looked for a signed copy. But you can tell he's an animal lover just from his writing, and animal stories, I hope, are only as moving, but Horse by Gerdeline Brooks proved that not to be true. But I did get this in the mail today. There are the pups on the cover, and there's pictures in it, and that is all for this update. Let's go into the wrap up of this week's vlog. I read over 100 pages every day, so super proud of myself about that. And I hauled one book, which I totally forgot to put on here. So luckily it was an Amazon purchase because I have the info on my phone when I already put the book away. But yeah, over 100 pages every day. I have not finished a book this week, but I do think I will finish Fever. And by the end of the month, I think I will have finished the Outlander book. Maybe Memory Wall. I don't know. It just depends where that goes. And I read 30 pages in Nightingale Point today. Let me put that behind y'all. But I do want to talk about what the focus of next week's vlog is going to be. So next week will be our first reset of the year. Let me confirm that I'm saying the right thing. Yes, that will be a reset. And it will be coming out in February, actually, on February 1st. Again, if you guys are curious about what the book club pick will be for February, the Fable link is down below in my link tree. And you guys can vote. If you're watching this video the day it comes out, you can vote for which book will be a focus of a vlog next month. But I do want to talk about the book that we're focusing on in that reset vlog. It's going to be Rosewater by Tade Thompson. We are going to be sticking to sci-fi and sticking to the African setting. We've been in South Africa, but now we're going up to Nigeria. It says, join a thrilling journey in Nigeria's Rosewater, where an alien biodome captivates a town with its enigmatic healing powers. Follow Karu, could be saying that wrong, uncover a dark truth. An engaging Afrofuturist masterpiece awaits. It's 400 pages in length and was released in 2017. I will be reading this book physically, and it is less than 500 pages because everything, like, that I've been reviewing is over 500 pages, so it's going to be nice to get a little respite from that, even if it's still 400 pages. And it looks like this is a trilogy, but it also has 2 like prequel books. It looks like it says book 0 on both of those, so I don't know if they're prequels or, but I'm going to assume those are novellas. But this is the start of a trilogy. Hopefully we enjoy it. It does have some mysterious themes as well and fantastical themes, and it has an average rating on Fable as a 3.57. Now this is not part of the project that I'm doing the highest rated books on my TBR. This is when I was still just pulling the next sci-fi book off my shelf and put that as the first book for the TBR for next year, which is this year now. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way through, leave a snow emoji. We did get snow this week, and that was probably the highlight of the week so far in this vlog. I don't know, but because, you know, there's still a few days left of the week. But I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!